Hey, it's John and Mike, brew-news.com edits Jar of Destiny Phase 4. It's the first of two beers that we pulled out of the old jar. This is Mike's beer. This is a wood-aged beer.
Wood-aged beer, category 33A.
33A.
Yes.
Of all the categories, it's got to be that one.
Yep.
All right, so this can be any beer style as long as it's aged on wood.
Aged with wood.
With wood. Okay.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yes.
You took some shortcuts?
No shortcuts.
No
No shortcuts.
Okay.
No shortcuts.
Aged with wood.
But so when I first pulled this ticket, wood-aged beer, I wasn't really giving it a ton of thought. In my mind, I was thinking I would really love to soak some oak in my original thoughts before I really researched the style was I really want to do something with like red wine soaked oak cubes. But then when I finally did some reading, realized that is no go for category 33A. 33A is beer aged on wood.
Yeah.
But not a spirit infused wood, not so it's just wood. So you're just looking for classic wood character in the beer. So I changed gears a little bit and I knew what I wanted. I wanted something with an amberish type of presentation to it, something that was going to be malt forward, but I wanted to have a satisfactory amount of bitterness. I didn't want to have any aroma hop profile. I wanted to be able to give the wood its chance to shine through from an aroma component. So then I had to decide, well, what kind of wood to use. And so your choices are, the big choices is French oak, American oak, and Hungarian oak. Now, there are things I could have gone like maple. You can get, if you really hunt around, you can get weird things like eucalyptus and stuff like that. But I wanted to also still be kind of traditional because to me, when I think about wood beer, I want to think about vanillins. I want to think about some of that character. So French oak tends to have a more of a fresh fruit character. Can sometimes be a little bit spicy, a little bit cinnamony. I didn't want that.
Okay.
American oak is a little more aggressive and can tend to be have really strong vanilla qualities, but also bring some coconut to the party. But it tends to be one-dimensional, depending on the toast level. And I was focusing on medium toast for all these things, so these descriptors are all sort of medium toast. I've worked a little bit with American oak in the past, but I'd never worked with Hungarian oak, so I settled on medium toast, Hungarian oak. Hungarian oak is supposed to bring some vanilla to the party, then maybe also a little bit of dark fruit or a little bit of like leather quality, a little bit of stuff like that. So, so that's what I went with. Now, another thing that is really fascinating, and I wish I could remember who said it, but one of the things was I got to ferment this thing, I got to brew this thing and ferment it quickly so that then I can move on to doing the oak aging, because that's what's going to take the most time in my mind, although we'll cover that in a minute. So I brewed it, I got it brewed relatively quickly. One of the things was like, how am I going to brew this thing really quickly? And I pulled out all the tricks. This is fermented with Voss. Kveik Voss. And there was a comment when we first pulled the nickel. Someone said, you should do Kveik Voss, it'll go fast. And I had already in my mind thought, yes, that's what I'm going to do anyway, because I wanted to get a beer fermented and done. And the best way to do that is to use a Kveik, as much as I poop on the Kveik stuff. But anyway, I really liked it. Within 3 days, that sucker was done bubbling. I also fermented this in a keg. This is a 3.5 gallon batch, actually. So I fermented this in one of my 5 gallon corny kegs, which was great because then I could easily pop the thing off and cold crash it in the same vehicle. And then I used a shortened dip tube, so then I could push it with CO2 to a new keg, leave all the other stuff behind, add my oak, and there we go.
Wow.
So that's that. So let me give you the breakdown of the recipe. Yes. This is 76% raw two-row, American two-row, nothing special, but then I'm trying to lift it up a little bit with 20% Vienna malt, and the color, it's all coming from 4% chocolate rye.
Nice. Of course the chocolate rye.
Of course chocolate rye. But I know from experience with that chocolate rye, I'm still experimenting with it, but it does sort of in certain lights. This is pretty orangey. Maybe like 1 ounce of black patent or something would help out here just to get it redder, but
I like the color.
I love the color.
Yeah.
It's what I was looking for, and it's what I, in terms of like having some wood character. This is the type of beer I wanted to have. The starting gravity was 1064. The finishing gravity was around 1014, for a total ABV of about 6.5%. So not a screamer, but I didn't want to go too high either, just because I wanted to be able to drink it.
Yes.
Right. Maybe if I had pushed the alcohol higher, you'd get a faster extraction rate of the wood, but I also just didn't want to overdo the whole thing. So how much wood? So this is a 3.5 gallon batch. This is actually 2 ounces of oak cubes. Normally you'd put about 2 ounces in a 5 gallon batch, 1 to 2 ounces in a 5 gallon batch, and let it run out for some time. But for Jar of Destiny, for the sake of the channel, I was like, let's oak this thing and go for it. So that being said, I'm gonna wet my whistle. You tell me what you think.
Yeah. In the first impressions, I was trying to find some wood on the nose. I'm getting a lot of kind of yeast esters and malt characteristics, maybe a little hops. But in the flavor, it's well balanced between the maltiness. I think that Vienna is coming out really nicely. And then the notes of vanilla are present to me. And then it kind of like is met with a nice shot of hop bitterness that follows through in the aftertaste.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit something on the roof of my tongue, which is actually a little bit of, I think it's actually a little bit of tannic quality coming off of the wood, because I didn't capture a sample pre-oaking, but I think there's a little bit of tannicness coming from the oak cubes. Who knows?
Okay.
That's what it seems like. I've never really experienced it. We haven't done a ton of wood-aged beer on the channel or otherwise, but most of the time when you do this type of exercise, the other thing I could have done was brewed a stout, right?
Yeah.
But then I think I'd really have to have extended aging time on oak to pick it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because there'd be so many.
So I wanted something a little bit more, something that had character but would allow wood to come through.
Yep. So I think you accomplished that, especially in a shorter time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, now that I'm sniffing it, I'm getting a little bit more of the wood in the nose.
I will say that the pours, when we first poured them and set them here, and then we started rolling, and I was talking about it, just at this distance, I'm getting a pretty bready malt and some of that oak character on the nose, even when it was first sitting here pouring, for me at least. And I'm sensitive to it because I've sort of analyzed the beer on its process to get to this point, but I could definitely pick it up just at this distance. And it's very pleasant. It's a really, this is a winter beer.
Yes, it is.
Telling you to, let's sit down and enjoy this. And, I love it.
Yeah, I think this is really it's gonna come into its own in a few more weeks.
Yeah.
I think this is gonna be great for December, and then all the festivities that come along with it.
Yeah, so what my plan is, I'm just gonna, maybe I'll just let that oak give me a little more character, just so it really is oaky, and then I think I'll just try to push off the keg and bottle a bunch of it. Okay. And have it in bottles and let it age away in bottles.
That's great.
But then basically, I got to get it off the oak at some point, I would think. Yeah. I just don't want it to get too oaky.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it could probably be a little distracting and maybe not so great.
Right.
But so what was the ABV on this?
It's about 6.5, almost 6.7%.
Okay. Yep. Got it.
1064 down to 1014.
And the hops on this again were.
Oh, sorry. It's just 1 ounce of Warrior in 3.5 gallons.
Yes. Yeah.
It's an ounce of Warrior for 60 minutes. So I went with a clean bittering hop. I didn't really want to, again, I just wanted the wood to come through. But I wanted to balance against, I knew it was going to be malty, so I wanted some balance there. Something to help balance it all out.
Yeah, I mean, with this using the American 2-row pale malt, and then really it's just the Vienna that's coming through. The color is coming with the chocolate rye, which, do you still have 50 pounds of that or something?
I still have plenty of chocolate rye. I won a 20-pound bag for an American Pale Ale in a competition years ago, and I still have
a lot.
Rye.
Yeah,
and it comes in at about a Lovibond of like 170-ish. So, which is interesting because a lot of chocolate ryes are actually a little bit darker than that.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is from Valley Malting in Massachusetts, and it's about 170.
That's so funny. No, I think followers of the channel know your penchant,
I use it for color adjustment.
your penchant for chocolate rye. It's like, wow, that guy's really into chocolate rye. No, I still have I just have a huge bag of it.
I think in the new year I'm going to do something with some malted rye and the chocolate rye, and let's do something rye.
Let's talk about that.
You know, and see where we end up.
Well, Michael, I think this is a winner. I think for what you followed the assignment, that's for sure. Yep. And I think like you also nailed it for a beer that's going to be great for the winter holidays. It's going to be great beyond the winter holidays. You know, it could even be like a gift-worthy thing because I think, you know, I think people would say, oh, I'm expecting this big bomb of a beer that I can have like maybe like a half pour and then be done. But this is really enjoyable. Certainly like has a lot to offer. There's a lot of complexity to it, you know, and I just think that over time it'll mellow out. You know, it'll just meld better. Yeah. And I don't know, even just the color, you're like, this is going to be something special. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think when you see beer like this color, even if it's just a little bit darker or a little bit redder, it is, to me, it's like, it's special occasion beer.
Yes,
that's what I always think of it. I love an orange colored beer.
Yeah.
You know, that's like my everyday drinking beer, but then you just get a little bit more darker in there, and it's like, oh, okay,
This is going to be something
It'd be cool to do this with like some candy syrup and like bring it up to 8% beer and really have an ager, you know. But for this exercise, just trying to get it done.
To satisfy.
If I was going to tweak it, that's what I would where I would maybe take it next.
That's right. To satisfy the jar, you need to do what you need to do.
I think a worthy experiment that comes out of this, I'd really love to see how. I want to play a little bit more with Voss in Vienna. Right, because for some reason here, this is the most expressive Vienna malt I've ever had in a beer that I've brewed, right? And it can't be because of the raw, and it can't be the chocolate, so it's got to be some combination of the Vienna and the Voss. Yeah, you know,
I like that.
So it's cool,
and it's not just the alliteration. Like it's got to be something else.
Maybe it is the alliteration.
Could be.
Maybe it's just making me happy.
All right, friends. The Jar of Destiny promised 8 beers. We're down to the last one. Coming up, you'll have an English IPA. We'll see if we can get that
with
going.
all Citra.
No, man. I gotta look. It's all about the BJCP.
Oh yeah.
You can't just be like, I made this with that.
Yeah.
You know, I made a cream ale with lactose in it. Like, no, it's just not the way it is.
Haters gonna hate.
Haters are gonna hate. But if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Hopefully you've enjoyed the Jar of Destiny program. I guess we'll have to keep it going.
We're gonna keep it going.
People are asking, should we keep it going? We're gonna keep it going.
We're gonna keep it going.
At least for one more year.
I think we have some twists.
Oh.
I've got some twists for the new year.
The jar.
The jar.
The jar giveth, and it also taketh away. I can't wait to see what the twists are, he says sarcastically. Subscribe to our channel because we do this kind of thing every single week. For John and Mike, brew-juice.com. Brew on.
Cheers.